Welcome back to the Soundation. This is Swaythoven and 808s. How to make your own and how to add those effects so you do not have to keep downloading other people's 808s. Now, simple 808. And the reason why I say you don't want to keep downloading other people's 808s is because other people's 808s are weird, okay? There's some 808s that have like certain note length and they kind of get detuned. Their pitch goes down a little bit towards the end of the note. There's some 808s that just have too much distortion. There's some 808s that just aren't in tune, all right? So like at that point, you might as well just make your own and it is just not as hard as you think, okay? And there's a very good plugin that you can use called the 3X oscillator. I'd like to think that I'm going to go the extra mile and tell you how you can add these certain effects to your 808s as well and how you can save them, okay? Instead of like me having to like go in here and say, oh, this is a 3X oscillator and I have to make a new 808 over and over again, and how to save them. So it's been a while since I made my own 808 and saved it, so hopefully I can remember before we get to that part. But I already have an 808 made, as you heard. Now I made it in 3X oscillator. So I'm going to show you what was done to make this 808. You could literally just copy all this right here. You have to use the sine wave. Does a triangle wave work? Which would be this one right here. Yes, it does work. And I only use two operators, two oscillators, whatever. The last one, I turn all the way down, meaning there's no volume coming out. This one, at mid. This one is probably just all the way up, I suppose. There you go. Sine waves or triangle waves, we can mix it together. Triangle makes it sound, I don't know if wide is the more word, maybe more bright, okay? But, still the same thing. But here's the thing. You're going to have to go into your envelope because this is what it sounds like without anything added to it. That's fine, okay? It just, it sounds more like just a smooth note, doesn't have that kick. And that's what the 808 gives. It gives that kick is because it's really just like a longer kick, to be honest. So what you're going to have to do here is make sure that your volume envelope looks like this. You're going to have to turn your attack down from what it was, turn your hold all the way up. Why do you turn your hold up? It's because the note's going to play as long as you hold it for it. I've realized if I turn it down, I believe it'll still play out, but then it gets softer. Might be wrong. Just turn the decay down, turn the sustain down. The release can be up if you want it to have like some extra resonance when it's released, but then it'll just go into your next 808, but sometimes there's probably like a good reason to do that. All right, don't care about mod X or Y or panning, go to pitch. All right, you turn that envelope on, you turn the amount all the way up to the right. Okay, you turn everything down. In the decay, put it just slightly. All right, that's what gives it that kick at the beginning. But if we turn it down, it doesn't have much of a kick. It sounds as if like the envelope's not even there. If we were to turn it up, it would ramp up to it. It just ramped down to it. So I lied to you. And there's a lot of different like things that we can do with it. Like it's just kind of, right? You know what I'm saying? And you could probably like find a cool, use for that little noise right there. But just play around with the pitch. The pitch is very interesting when it comes to 808s. And one thing that I had to change was polyphony. All right. No one usually puts an 808 on top of each other, but this is something that I've realized when using the sine wave, and hopefully it does it again, because these notes are so low, and it just might be a sine wave. If I hold down one note and play another note, it's as if that second note acts as an LFO, a low frequency oscillator, and I mean it is a 3X oscillator, and it's functioning at a lower frequency, so it's just like, let's hopefully it works this, if you know what I'm saying. And if you didn't hear that, we can look up at the monitor master and we can see the sine wave and then add another one and now it's just jumbling, all right? So to fix that problem, even though that might be a cool effect because, you want the car to rattle, I don't necessarily want it for this, so I turn the polyphony max to 1. So only one note plays at a time. I'm still holding two notes, but only one note can play, and that's going to be the next note that you play. Other than that, I suppose you can change the slide, which is the Porto mono. I guess you can arpeggiate that. Let's see where let's hear the arpeggiator. Can you even arpeggiate this? Doesn't seem like it's arpeggiating. And you know what? I don't care either. Let's turn it off. So now we have the 808 and a 3X oscillator. All right, we made the sine waves. There you go. So you're gonna have to assign it to an instrument track, okay? And in that instrument track, I already have a couple things. I have a wave shaper so you can hear it off of the speakers. All I did was turn it up, so that's how you get your 808s louder. And I have it Edison. Okay, you're gonna have to put Edison on. I don't know what I just clicked there. I didn't want to do that right there. Oh my goodness. Hopefully Control Z. There you go. So what we're gonna do here in Edison is still playing. You want to play the C. All right. At the same time, when you record this 808, you're gonna want to press record on input 30 seconds, even though you're not gonna be playing the 808 for 30 seconds. All right. And this is the interesting thing about this 808 is that you have to stop the recording eventually. Is that this 808 is like just a straight square. All right, you kind of see like a rectangle. Those are two different shapes. But if we were to put the resonance on back, like maybe the release might be wrong. I'm gonna turn the sustain up. Hopefully that it also does this. We might see a different pattern. Okay, so we notice a different pattern. One's more block and one has some extraness coming out of it. So it's just, be wary of that if you want your 808s to bleed in together. I think it's like the release, to be honest, not the resonance, but not the sustain. But there you go. So like now we know how to at least put into Edison, and we're going to come back to Edison in a second. What we're going to do here is just cut all this out. Now we know we can play the 808 through here. So now how to make it sound distorted, like you would probably download or something like that. I didn't even know I had this plugin. I've never used this plugin until like right now. Destructor. All right. And Destructor is very interesting. It's because it lets you get distortion, right? A filter, a chorus, and a speaker. I'm guessing this is just like, I'm not even gonna worry about it. But it's funny because we can just put, so it seems, multiple filters on a certain thing. Do we want to filter on the 808? Who knows? But just for your knowledge, you can go into 3x oscillator, and inside of the, right beside the wrench tool to the envelope instrument settings, we do have a filter setting. All right. Low pass filter seems to be the best, is because it lets the low frequencies pass, whereas high pass, which is HP, lets the high frequencies pass, and there is no high frequency. So it's harder to hear. Switch it back to low frequency or low pass. There you go. All right. Now going back to the Destructor, which we have turned on, we're going to put on distortion, and I'm going to turn the preamp all the way down so it sounds normal. And I turned it. All right, there you go. Post gain. Turns it down. In the mix is how much that distortion is going to show up. So we hear the distortion, turn the mix down, it should sound normal. Thank goodness I was right. The threshold, I couldn't tell you what that means. Maybe if it reached a certain volume, type. Fast distortion type on. That's crazy. That's like a stronger version of that. Oversampling, I looked at the definition for oversampling, or I seen it, but I didn't remember. Fast distortion, we have Harmer flat hat, Harmer log, abrasive. Let's see this. There's something there. We have dry wet knob. That's crazy what just happened right there. I don't want to hear that again. But anyway, there you go. All right. So let's say you wanted to save this as whatever this sounds like right now. That sounds terrible, but we're just going to save it like that. We're going to turn it down a little bit because it's loud. So now what we're going to do is go back to Edison. We're going to record it, play the C note, and then just play the C note. Now, like, I held it out for as long as I wanted to be held out for. All right, I could have held it out a little bit longer, and let's say I held it out for like 3 seconds. If I had the note play for 1 second on the piano roll, it only play for 1 second. So having it hold out for 3 seconds allows it that if there's someone that uses this noise, they can make the note 3 seconds long until they have to put a new one in, I believe. So anyway, that's what the 808 looks like. To make it bigger or whatever, one thing I realized, you can like amp it up, I suppose. Preview. See, now it's louder. That's another way to make your 808 louder. And then what you're gonna want to do here is, because I'm pretty sure there's like a save button. And if there's not, there we go. There's a save button. I've made 808s already. Sway 808 and Sway 808 2. I don't even think they show up on the list on the side, because I forget where they're showing up at, to be honest. They actually show up, where they were showing up on like some random 808 list that I had, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, you can save it, but to just drag it on to here, what you can do is just drag it on, and boom, there's your 808. So if you're playing the song, you can just have multiple copies of this 808 down here. And one thing that I see right now is that there's a slight line before that 808 plays. So we're going to have to fix that. We're going to have to go back into Edison, all right, where the 3x oscillator is. And we're going to have to highlight this area right here by just dragging your cursor in like the red space. And we're going to have to just right click, edit, cut. There you go. So now it's going to play instantly without having to wait that 1 second delay. The line should be gone, except for the fact that it is not. Why it's not gone? Let's go back for the sake of learning. Because it is gone. We're going to have to re-drag it back out there. And I already knew that, but I just want you guys to see it. So that's 808s, how to make them. Quite simple. You can make them in like other programs like GMS. I think I've seen someone do that. Like, that's a free plugin right for here at FL Studios, right? You still have like sine waves, you still have saw waves, this, that, and the third. You still have the ability to like cut, turn everything down, right? Cool thing about in this one is that this already has options for distortion, crush, phaser, high pass, echo, reverb, and all that stuff. So, it's up, and it's pretty much like what the plugin allows you to do to be able to make it. But make your 808s and have fun with it. Don't buy anyone else's 808s unless you want to buy mine.